Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Reef. Thank you for joining us here at Neptune Systems with Paul and Terrence.
Hey.
And we're going to have a great show today. We're doing something completely new. We're often trying out all kinds of new things. I come up with something when I'm driving home or whatever, some crazy idea, and then I tell Vincent at the last moment how we're going to cook it up.
Gave him like 3 hours.
Yeah.
But it was enough time for him to pull a lot of different things together. So we got an exciting episode.
Yes.
Yes.
When we were at Reefapalooza, and also in a lot of what I've read online since Reefapalooza, people asking about the Sky, I just want to talk to somebody who is already running it. I want to see it running somewhere. I want to know about how it runs. And the thing is we have Neptune Systems insiders.
We do. These are things that we have.
And usually they have to be completely silent up to a point. But now they basically can talk a lot about the stuff, and we have a bunch of them. And so I put out the notice to say who can join us. And we've got 14 people who are all running the Sky. Some of them you may recognize, some of them you may not. There's a lot of average reefers in there. There's some of them that are like our Apex experts.
Notables.
That they're out there typing all the time online. You've never seen their face before. And now they'll be kind of uncovered for the first time.
Well, I mean, it's not that you didn't know who they were. You knew their name.
Sure.
Right? They weren't hiding behind some sort of pseudonym.
Sure, like Suncrest Reef.
Is here.
John Halsey,
He will be
the man.
on the episode.
Yes.
Mr. Helpful himself.
Yes.
Yes.
So anyway, what's going on? So we are back into the trade show circuit, which is awesome. So we just got back a couple weeks ago, as you know from the last time, from Reefapalooza.
Reefapalooza, where we unveiled the Sky.
The Sky at Orlando, and there's been a lot of talk since then. And right away, we've got another one coming up next weekend at Aquashella.
Aquashella, Orlando.
Same city.
At the Gaylord Resort there in Orlando, Florida.
And we are the Aqua Crib sponsor.
The crib will be sponsored.
So
by
I've already
Neptune
seen some of the
Systems.
stuff that they're cooking up for this.
Dude, it is. I'm jelly. I'm not going.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
All right. Do we still have a sound issue, Vincent?
No.
We're all good now?
We're good.
Okay.
All right.
So they keep saying no audio here, buddy, but is that on delay or what? You don't know?
Sounds good there.
You don't know? Okay.
I don't know.
Well, I know it's good there, but I mean, somebody's got to be calling in and seeing what's going on. So,
I think they can hear us.
little to no audio. Cue the dance music.
Are we getting trolled maybe?
I don't know. But Alan was on there. He said no
All right,
audio.
Sounds good. It's fine.
Okay.
It's good.
All
We're
right,
good.
we'll keep it going. So anyway, Reefapalooza, they're actually doing a whole Apex-oriented aqua crib. So you're going to be able to interact.
Aquashella.
What did I say?
You said Reefapalooza.
Did I?
There's a lot of losas and paloozas and cellas and nellas and gonna go tell you.
See, now if I didn't try to call it Aquashella and I kept calling it Aquacello,
you would know.
I would know and I wouldn't get it mixed up.
But you're calling it the right thing.
But okay, so at Aquashella, okay, I'm going to get killed by Adam on that one. They have Aqua Crib that we're sponsoring. They have these cool displays. We're not going to give away too much, but they're interactive.
And Apex will be involved.
The Apex will be involved. There'll be cool music and lights and all of that stuff. You're going to want to be there. You're going to want to check it out. And of course, we'll have the Sky on display on 2 different tanks, just like we did in Orlando, in Reefapalooza. And we have very soon, if you are in the Orlando area, you will see the very first local fish store actually showing off the Sky.
Booyah.
Yeah, so we're going to leave that one. We're just going to tease that one up. But there will be a Sky on display, maybe within 48 hours.
Within 48 hours.
So when it is up, I will put it out on Facebook, and any of you guys out in Orlando can go take a look for yourself if you want to.
And you can see the goodness of a spectrum, spread, and simple interface.
On a huge tank.
Huge.
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 Yes, a huge tank. So definitely going to be cool with that. So looking forward to that. After that, I think we get a little break until New York.
Like 2 weeks. Just a little 2-week break, you know.
And then we got to go up to New Jersey to do the Reefapalooza New York show.
At the Meadowlands in Secaucus.
Yep, and we love doing that show too. And we will again have the same kind of demo for the Sky up there, so you can come check it out. And yeah, it's fun times getting back into the swing of things with these shows.
Yeah, I mean, it's been so interesting, like the last couple of weeks, like with you and I, right? We've been, doing these live streams. We've been seeing forum posts, and I think the biggest thing that anyone who's actually seen the light, right? It changes the way that they think about it.
Yeah, it definitely the case of when people walked up to it at Reefapalooza, it was definitely like, whoa, this is for real.
Okay.
I think I even heard Greg Carroll say on one of his Insta livegrams, live streams, I mean, on Instagram, he said, yeah, nobody I saw come up to this thing could say anything bad.
Yeah.
So.
You know, so.
Emmy's got a great review from Reef Builders out there.
Yep.
You know, who would have thought?
Yep.
So this thing's got to be for real.
He had some positive things to say.
Absolutely, it was a great, comprehensive, rundown on the Sky. So we're pretty excited about that too. A couple things I just want to tidy up a little bit before we run into our main feature of the show. Number one is the SPS kit was a hit at Reefapalooza.
It was a home run.
So this is the device that helps you get more stable salinity readings if you can't quite get it right in your sump. And Antonio over there at VCA had put together, took a design that I helped him come up with and said, here, you need to make this. We don't have time to make it. You go create this thing, and it's going to make everybody's salinity probe that is having problems much better. Now they're out on the market. Now you can get them. How it works, you slide it over your salinity probe, you plug it into a manifold or into a PMUP that you can get. What's really cool, some people don't know that 1/4-inch RO tubing just slides right into there. You don't need a separate fitting or anything.
No, well, you can have a fitting.
You can.
And we do include a fitting in the ATK
If you
kit.
want, you can put a 3/8 to 1/4-inch fitting over the top of that and make it work. But anyway, that is available. I think he charges $28 for the kit without the pump. So it's very economical. So you should go check that out.
I mean, it's a win-win. It's what Terrence and I have been up here saying for years. Vast majority of people have great success with the salinity probe. Those that don't, put it at an angle. Those that don't, put a power head on it. Essentially, he has solved that and given you an easy-to-use product, right, that is just going to give you great results.
We have probably half or 60% of the people don't have a problem running it, but the 40%, it's miserable for them.
I would say,
okay, maybe it's 70-30. I know you wish it to be more.
75-25. I'll agree with you there.
So the next thing to discuss, just briefly, that I want to touch on that I saw at Reefapalooza that I thought was really cool is this new Hanna checker. And there's a couple of reasons that I'm going to get into, Paul, and I'm sure you'll give me your thoughts on it too. But in the first Hanna checker for nitrate, I kind of really, I didn't talk very nicely about it because it's just too many steps. It was a, looked like a 15-minute science project that you could get so many things wrong on it. And in the end, it only measured, I think, up to 5 ppm.
It wasn't simple.
It was far from simple.
It was not simple.
It was far from simple.
Nope.
But Hanna, I don't know if they went back to the drawing board or they already thought about doing this. The real thing that most reef keepers need is, from 5 to, 75 or hopefully not 100. And so they came out with a new Hanna checker. It's a one-step Hanna checker. Works just like their phosphate one. You pour in the little powder, you hit a button, you wait 7 minutes, it comes up with a number. We checked it here on a few different tanks and checked it with some other manual methods. It's just as close as it needs to be. And it's simple and cheap. So the one thing I'm kind of want to bring up on this is we get a lot of people asking, why don't you do a nitrate checker? Why don't you do a nitrate checker?
I'm just waiting for that nitrate checker.
I'm just waiting for
nitrate
it.
Trident.
And I tell you what, it's hard to beat, right, for most people, a $50 checker with a 40-cent test or something once or twice a week to do it. It's going to be hard to convince people to spend $600 and
then consistently
$20 a month to get their
reagents.
nitrate results,
Yeah.
to get what'll be for most people a flat line. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. It is a great, cool little device. I'm colorblind, and so any of the color tests are rough on me. So the alkalinity test from Hanna works really well for me. Not a fan of their calcium, checker.
I hadn't heard you mention that before.
But this is also really cool, and I like their phosphate checker too. So if you have one of these and the phosphate checker, you're going to be set up for good. So anyway, I wanted to make sure I give them a positive plug on that, because I thought it was pretty cool that they brought that to the show.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a win-win, and I mean, really, the benefit of that, let's call it the low-range nitrate kit, I think is what they call that, or the high precision. The benefit of that is, in my opinion, is almost nil. Right. Does it really matter if your nitrates are 0 or 5?
Right.
It doesn't. This one will measure down to 5 just fine. It'll go up to 100?
Right.
I think. So it has that whole spectrum that you need. Now, if your nitrates are 50, you probably want to be aware of that. But if your nitrates are 5 or 10, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
And keeping them below 5, I don't think. I
don't see why you would need to really get into that.
You're in an ultra low nutrient environment.
You're
right?
a special person.
You've decided to have a tank you constantly have to watch if you want to go for that super low range.
So anyway, enough of all that talk. We're going to now kind of premiere a new thing that I don't see really being done in the industry. And so you heard it here, right? Which is go to your group of kind of really in-tune people who are trying out or running your products.
Yeah.
And get them on and have them all start to talk about it.
Yeah, and you know,
one of the first things I want to say about that too is because there is always some talk out there. Well, these people, they get everything for free, so of course they're going to say good things about you. So I'll just put it out there right now. There are 1 or 2 people that'll be on here that got it for free, and the reason that those people do is because they're even earlier in the process. Usually, they're usually getting a pre-production prototype of products. They're giving us another level of feedback, and we tune them into the whole process even earlier than our NSI. And those people, I mean, Richard Ross is on here. He's one of those people. He did not pay for his. Okay. Yeah. So if you don't want to believe Richard Ross when he comes on, that's okay. Don't believe Richard Ross. He's the most skeptical guy around. You can be skeptical of him. He's laughing right now. We're not on yet. But I think I'm just trying to see all the other guys on here. They all paid for their lights. Now, did they pay full price? No, they did not pay full price. I mean, because they're giving a service to us.
And and I think they'd be the first to say we do have high expectations of them.
Yes.
Right? And I think that we make that very clear that we have high expectations. And they consistently deliver.
Right.
You know?
And Jordan out here just asked, he says, what's the selection process? It's complicated because we're looking sometimes for a slice of the reef keeping hobby that they're running certain things, certain equipment, they have certain capabilities, or they don't have certain capabilities.
And the selection process is, I don't know, 30 or 40 questions that we ask.
Right, like if we didn't want to, really, in the case of somebody like Ty, we wanted somebody that wasn't super experienced.
Yeah.
So, so we're going to get him on here. We're going to talk about it.
And so something I want to say too about the NSI process, this is multiple rounds of NSI.
Yes.
Right? So we have, our pre-production NSI people on here. We have our first run NSI people who have been running essentially since January. And then we have our most recent NSI group, which is doing a lot of the out-of-box experience things.
Correct. So the right before launch kind of stuff, is just the last mile kinds of things. There was a discussion on here also. Derek Picker's on here from Reef Automation. Everybody thinks he's a complete shill for us, and I can understand why because he loves our gear. But in fact, he was the biggest donator to our Toys for Kids program that we had. He donated a lot of money to charity, and after doing so, part of that was to get one of the first Skys off the assembly line.
And that's what happened.
Just want to give you guys full disclosure here so that there's no questions about it. So without further ado, let's bring them on, Paul and Vincent, and let's see.
Let's do this.
Let's say hi.
All right.
Hopefully we can hear you guys.
We have to put
Do we have to put these in?
Yeah, we're going in.
Okay. Let's see if it's going to work. Can we hear you out there, guys, reef keepers?
Hello there.
Hello.
Oh my goodness.
We can hear you.
Technology is
and a dog,
and the
too.
dog. This technology is happening.
Okay, so what I'm going to ask you guys first and foremost is if you're not talking, please mute your mic. That way we don't have too much static and weird talk or what have you. And if you're going to talk also, we'll know if you have a weird mic setup and we start to get some back and forth echoes and stuff, and then we'll ask you to kind of fix that. But anyway, once again, welcome to this new kind of roundtable forum. I'm really excited about it, and I'm going to first call on Rich to respond since I called him out in the beginning. Rich, how you doing over there?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Terrence?
It's fun. We need to do another Skimmate. People are asking for it, and you just you need to make the drive, buddy.
Well, I got a better idea. You're going to Aquashella?
Yes.
Or Aquashella Palooza?
Yes.
Yeah, let's record one there.
Boom! You're on.
Boom.
There.
That's
it's happening.
a good one.
Absolutely. So Rich, you were one of the first people, as I mentioned, in the work up to this group talk. You got one way early in the process, and you've been in the hobby for a long time, gone through a lot of different lights. Tell us kind of your progression in lighting over even the reef tank we see behind you, and just your general thoughts.
Started with PC compacts. When you had to solder them up yourself, and Vitalite twist bulbs, those were very exciting. And then I went to metal halides, which I love very much. I loved the 14K double-ended Phoenix bulb for a long time, and then I switched to on this tank. This tank's been up here for like 19 years now, and originally it had dual luminarc fixtures, so 2 fixtures with 2 250-watt bulbs in each fixture, and ran that way with supplemental actinic for a long time, and I still have those fixtures and the ballasts under the house because I love them so much and think they're so good.
Reefers are hoarders.
Yeah, well, for some, you know, when it turned out that LEDs were working, and you know, it showed you know, it was obvious that they could grow coral, I was still nervous about moving over to them, and finally moved over to them with the radions, and did that for a long time, and then but you know, the radions are fine, but I think for my tank I wanted something with more spread, and I want something that's native with apex that just I do the coral spawning and stuff, so native with apex just makes my life easier. And so you guys
quickly,
yeah.
quick question. So once you put the sky over them, what did you notice in terms of, I mean, there's two things, right? There's what you just immediately noticed kind of with your eyes, right? Because you went from a Radeon G4, I think, to the sky, right?
Right.
And so from that, you see the stuff from your eyes, right? Obviously, we understand the controllability it's apex. You're going to have more controllability. But then, did you see any difference in the animals or growth or anything anywhere in the tank?
I think the sky covers more real estate. So the corals in this tank grow like all the way to the front. Like I have to break them off with a magnet all the time. And so they overhang. And so getting light into certain areas of the tank has always been a challenge. I used to actually put spotlights on just for viewing. So they would hit spots where there weren't light. And over here on this corner in the back, it's hard to get light. You can see it from around the side, but and then when the skies went on, it kind of lit up the whole thing a lot more evenly, with the same amount of fixtures.
And Richard, how big is this tank? What are the dimensions?
The footprint is it's 150 gallon. It's 5 feet by 2 feet by 2 feet.
And how many skies do you have over it?
3, and I have 3 because I have like a 9 or a 12-inch glass center brace.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to have extra punch in the middle, just for having this tank for 19 years. I know that I'll get a dark spot in there.
Right.
From looking at the skies, if I did not have that center brace, I think 2 would light it up just fine.
Excellent.
But to say that tank is a mature tank would be just a slight bit of an understatement. You know, it is fully grown in, as you can well see. So.
Well,
yeah, no doubt.
I got to tell you that I got into NSI early, and so I did not have to pay for the lights, and but they killed everything. But I'm still running them and saying good things about them. What kind of what is that?
I'm a Jedi. Okay, so
nobody who gets something, even if it's for free or if it's for cheap, if it doesn't work, they're not going to keep talking about how great it is. That's a weird.
I know
it's a cynical view of life. That's
but we
for
have
sure.
to address it a little bit. Let's switch out of Rich for a minute. Let's talk to John Halsey, also known as Suncrest Reef. This guy helps out more people. He basically picked up the torch for Russ.
Yep, I would say, and filled in those shoes more than adequately.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so he's Suncrest Reef out on Reef to Reef and also out on the Neptune Systems Forum, and has written a bunch of how-to guides and FAQs. And when anybody comes on into the group in Facebook, basically he's the one that jumps in right away and gives them, the FAQ and the info and everything. Vincent's trying to figure out Zoom right now. It's okay, guys. We can look at the beautiful tank. So John, we contacted you to maybe be part of NSI. Did you have any reservations, or you're doing some new tanks? Tell people what's going on.
So it was actually great timing. My tank that you're looking at is just freshly rebooted as of a month ago. It's a Reefer 425 that I've had for 3 years now, and it was doing great up until middle of 2020. And typical for 2020, like everything else, the tank suddenly went downhill. I lost a bunch of corals. After water tests, the only thing I could really narrow down to was really, really high nutrients. Phosphate and nitrates were out of control because I really didn't have good enough filtration. So I made the decision to tear the tank down, replace it with a new sump and a roller mat. And that was right around the time that you guys reached out to say, hey, would you be interested in testing out this light? I was trying to figure out how am I going to keep my remaining corals alive while I'm going through this reboot. So I decided to just use my old sump, move it to another room, put the few corals I had left into it, and I mounted a Sky over that small Red Sea sump just to keep things alive for a month or so. Well, that month or so ended up being several months because I got busy doing other things, but I finally got the tank rebuilt. During that time, I got to tinker with and experiment with the Sky features and mess with it in a situation where I knew that I didn't really care if things went well or if things went bad, because it was basically a lifeboat situation.
Right.
Now that I've got the tank up, I put the one SKY over it and thought, well, it's nice, but it's not quite enough for a 4-foot wide tank.
Sure.
So I reached out and said, hey, I'd like to pick up another one. And so you can see I've got both of them mounted now.
It's cooking.
And what's funny, in this, with the bleached rocks, it looks blinding, but I actually have them only on 20% right now.
Right.
It's definitely 2 lights on a 4-foot tank gives you that spread that you need, but you are going to be nowhere near 100% on running those lights ever.
Yeah, for sure. So what was your lighting preference of choice before the SKY? What was the thing that was your go-to?
Well, I started out 3 years ago with Radeon XR30s, G4s, and I kept those for the first year and a half or so. Then I switched to a company called Refi, which is a local club member here in the Portland area who manufactures his own lights. They're really high quality. They're same footprint, same price point as Radeons, but they have little reflectors that shine the light straight down rather than the diffusers and everything that I had on the Radeons. So I ran those for quite a while. I really liked them. I think they're excellent lights. But I did have 3 of them over this tank to get the coverage I needed. I started with 2. I had some shadowing issues, so moved to 3 of them. But obviously now you can see with the SKYs, 2 is probably more than enough for this size of a tank. I do have them mounted a little bit low at the moment just because of the brackets that I'm using. I'd say they're roughly 8
Hey,
inches.
John, I got to look at this comment. This is Alan. He works here, and it says Chuck Norris has a poster of Suncrest Reef on his wall. Just saying. So there's a lot of appreciation for you out there, buddy, and for everything that you do. And I've got to keep it short. I'd love to dig in, and we'll have you on as a featured guest on Let's Talk Reef later. But
sounds like a lot of fun.
We got to move it around a little bit here, and chat with some other people. So who do you think's next, Paul? Who do you want to talk to next?
Well, we can talk.
How about Ty? Let's talk to Ty.
Yeah.
All right, Ty.
Oh, Ty got home.
Yeah, Ty got home. Ty's there. And we've got some good things.
I haven't made it home yet. I got
Okay, somebody, hang on a sec. Somebody's got their audio on. Hang on. Must be Dudley, because he's lighting up. So whoever's playing audio and got their mics on, shame on you. We've got to make this thing work. All right. So Ty, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I got the memo at the last minute, so I was helping a buddy out earlier with his Triton, so I had to drop it off on my way home. So I'm not home yet. I'm at a friend of mine's house, a fellow reefer.
Okay.
So
cool. So here's the deal with Ty. So we're at Reefapalooza, okay? And, it's in Florida, so of course Ty's going to be there. I mean, Ty'd be there. It didn't matter where it is because he hadn't had a reef show in forever. If it was up in New York, Ty'd probably be in New York because he's just dying to get to another reef show. But these guys,
I can relate.
The Florida Coral Mafia, or whatever they want to be called, they all kind of roam around and look at things. And they all came by the booth, and their jaws were just like this. And tell us what's gone on recently on your tank, lighting wise.
Well, I just set the tank up. It's only been up for 3 months, and actually, I love the colors I was getting from my previous.
What size is the tank? What size is the tank?
It's 300 gallons. It's 72 by 36 by 27 high.
Right.
Big tank.
It's 300 gallons, and like I said, it's been set up for literally 3 months. Started with dry rock from Marco Rocks. Used Julian dry sand, and
so did you have lights on it already?
Yes, I had the G5s.
Right. So you were using the kind of the spread out XR15 approach, right?
Yes, I was running 10 of them.
Wow. Okay. So that had to look great. That had to look really great.
XR15s.
I mean, let's be honest, right? I'm sure that it probably, with having that kind of spread and that many lights over it, it probably gave you a decent, really good, even look over the tank. So you saw the stuff at Reefapalooza. Tell us why. Tell us why now you're running SKY.
Well, I've always been with Neptune system since day one, since the Aquatroller 1. I remember Paul
OG.
When he used to have his little suitcases at Magna back in the days, that's before Apex went orange and gray, and I used to always mess with them, every year.
With Kurt, yeah.
So,
Yep.
but anyway, I like the fact that I could have, instead of 10 lights, I could narrow it down to.
No.
No! What'd you do?
You dropped this.
So you went from 10 lights to what?
No, you dropped the connection.
He dropped his connection.
Oh.
Oh man, look at that. We're gonna have to. That's a tease right there, right? That's
We already know the answer. We can tell them the answer.
That's
You went from 10 lights to 3.
the 3. Basically, you had the same form factor, a little bit deeper in one direction than the tank we had at Reefapalooza. And so he saw them. We were running them transverse. That tank was a peninsula, an Innovative Marine Peninsula. We were running it 72 by 28 by 22 high, and we were running 3 of them transverse. And he saw that. You're back now, Ty, right? Ty's back. So you were running 10 XR15 G5s, and you changed over. Sorry, you dropped out for a second. You changed over to 3 of the Sky. So having less lights over the tank and still getting a great filled tank, that was one of your motivations?
Yes, and also dropping the watt consumption. I went down from 9 amps to 6 amps.
Great.
Oh, wow.
You dropped
Nice.
a third of the cost right there in
Awesome.
energy.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, well, Ty, welcome to the Sky Club, man.
So Ty, I have a question for Ty though.
Yeah.
So you were in the round 2, the out of box
Oh, this is a good
experience
point.
round.
This is a good segue.
A lot of the guys on here are the round 1, so they don't know the goodness of the new app release. Only you've gotten it. Only our Bluetooth testers have gotten that so far. Can you tell me a little bit about how we did on the simple aspect of the Sky? How was setting up the Sky for you?
It was very simple. It took less than 5 seconds and no errors, always connecting every time I go on the app. And it's a beautiful display also that's coming out that will display all the parameters. It's very nice.
So here's the deal.
So there's a couple things
Yeah.
there, right? So first off, one thing you said was every time you opened up the app so far as you've been using it, you've always been able to connect.
So he's connecting to Bluetooth.
He's connecting
correct.
only Bluetooth right now.
Right.
He is not. He has an Apex, and we won't let him connect it to his Apex yet. Right.
It's part of the second wave of our,
Right,
of our
right.
NSI.
So the next thing we do is we're going to be testing a little bit of the final, putting the Apex connected. The second thing you said there is for the setup. Did you feel like you were trying to find what to do, or was it very intuitive that you just knew when you wanted the lights to turn on, you chose the spectrum that you wanted? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was very intuitive. I just selected my time, and I played with the colors at first, so I could, get the feel for the color that I would enjoy watching my tank. And I went with I think it was the Neptune Sky.
You went with the Sky. You went with that's basically mostly what we run at the office.
So for these guys that are in the first phase of NSI, they haven't had a taste of this yet.
So let's give them a taste.
Yeah, let's do that.
So can you jump over to the iPad, Vincent?
So let's give all the what's coming.
So we've shown this here before, right, on Let's Talk Reef, but this is essentially your new dashboard, right? When the app releases, you're going to have basically 2 tiles available, your Sky tile and your water parameters tile, okay? Don't worry, it still exists,
Right.
okay? This isn't going anywhere, it's still here, okay? So setting up the Sky and what Ty was speaking about, and a lot of our Apex connected customers, right? They've been talking to us about profiles and virtual outlets and things like that. Guys, I know you love getting into the weeds with that, but the Sky, even when it gets Apex connected, none of that's going to be required.
Right.
Okay.
Awesome new stuff on the horizon in addition to what you're seeing here.
Awesome stuff that you're seeing that I can't even show you everything of all the bells and whistles that we have planned. But essentially, if I wanted to change the color of the skies, I have these curated modes already ready to go. So I can essentially just go right through any of these, right, and select what mode I want to be in. And we've shown the photo mode. We've shown all these different things.
So we've curated basically, again, most of us, maybe almost all of us in the front office here at Neptune Systems are all reef keepers. So we stand around a tank and go, okay, how should it look?
Yeah.
Okay, here's this look that people like. And we come up with that, and we curate these looks.
Exactly. So essentially, coral growth mode is all the channels on 100%. Sky mode, right, is essentially the whites down to about 60% or so, and the cyan amber about 80% or so, right? And you can customize any of this. One thing that's not in the app just quite yet, but will be in the app very shortly, is once you select a customized color, right, you can say, oh, I want to save that customized color.
Yeah.
Then you say, you know what? I only want to be in this mode for the next 2 hours or so, right? I don't want to be in this mode just for while the app's open. I want to say it in 2 hours. You'll be able to essentially set a timer and say, keep this mode for 2 hours, and then go back to what you wanted to before.
Right, so it's kind of like a feed mode, but it's not a feed mode now. It's
Right.
something completely different
And
that
then-
we're putting together.
And then down the line, photo mode here, well, you'll be able to select the things that you also want to have off.
Like turn off my
or
power heads, for instance.
Exactly. You'll be able to select the things that you want to have happen when you select that mode as well. Essentially, these are called kind of scenes.
Right.
Right? So the concept of, virtual outlets and profiles and
They're not going away.
They're not going away. Don't worry. But the intuitive ability just to be able to select those things is going to be very simple and straightforward. Now, to program this light is, as Ty was saying, it ain't a thing.
Yeah.
It is just
This
what
is
time.
what most people want to do. They want to pick what they want something to look like.
What time you want it on? What time do you want it off? Right? And then select what you want during most of the day. We'll take care of doing that blue
It's
phase
gonna ramp.
that you like,
It's
the
gonna
sunrise
ramp and
phase.
ramp down.
We'll take care of that midday, and we'll take care of the downtime on there. If you wanted to have that graph, like you just need that graph, you need to put the points, you need to make extra things happen, all that's going to be possible, right? So you can change the time that those
clouds
things
and
happen.
clouds
All of those things,
Yeah.
exactly, will be there. But you can also just keep it nice
And moonlight
and simple.
settings too.
Absolutely.
And there's an acclimation mode. So if you're acclimating from other lights or
One thing that's
new
cool
tank.
that I like that our engineering team set up, specifically Joe, was the concept of moonlights only being on for a couple hours, after lights are off, and only being on for maybe a couple hours before lights are on, right? Or the moonlights are always on at night.
like a nightlight. Yeah.
Or they're going to come out seasonally,
Right.
So the moonlights only operate seasonally. So these are all things that are coming that we're really excited for our Apex Connected guys to see. But the Bluetooth customers are already getting that. I think we have one other Bluetooth guy on here who also said he had a great experience.
All right, let's
So
go
that's
back
awesome.
to the group. I'm going to talk to Matt Leonard, who just mentioned something on text here. So let's bring up Matt. So we had people ask actually on the Bulk Reef Supply live stream. They did a live stream yesterday. If you guys haven't seen it out there, you should go out to Bulk Reef Supply's YouTube channel. They did a live stream, talked about how Ryan switched over all of his lights in his tanks, where he's now running the Sky instead of the kind of hybrid solution he was before, and gave a little bit of insight to his thinking. But during that, I saw some comments in there of, hey, what about somebody who's running, the Hydra 64s? I love those lights. How's it going to look? How many would it take? So Matt, I saw your comment in here. That's what you were running, right?
Correct. I had 4 Hydra 64s over my 180. A little bit overkill, but yeah.
So what was your
That
thought
was- that was
process?
overkill.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, for sure. That's a
All right.
lot. That's a lot. So what was your thought process of why you wanted to change those out? Why you wanted to move to the Sky? And then what's the difference from then until now, running the AI 64s until now?
The problem I had with the 64s is, they constantly create that disco effect all over, and there was some notable hot spots right under the pucks, centered underneath the fixture. So the other problem was with just having 2, with mounting them in my canopy, I wasn't able to get the even spread, so that's why I had to have 4 and then kind of lower the settings down. So I remember during the sign-up process for this, I remember kind of questioning, is 2 really going to be enough, 2 Sky fixtures, that is. And after discussions with you and some others, it's definitely more than enough. And the thing that I like the most is just the even blanket spread all over the tank. So there's no hot spot. There's no like it's brighter in this little section here or this spot on the rock. It's just an even brightness of light all over the tank in almost every crevice.
Yeah, so that is certainly, again, that's where the name comes from, right? And it's interesting that you talk about using 2. This was on Ryan's live stream yesterday too, because the one thing he didn't get quite right is he's like, yeah, Terrence kept bugging me about it. In fact, I did. I bugged him in the beginning, and then I just let him kind of stew on it. But when he did finally contact me a week or so ago, he said, okay, I'm ready. I want to run these. And I said, okay, you know, again, remind me of your tank size. And basically his tank is two 180s kind of back to back. That's basically the size of it. And he's like, how many do I need to have? I'm like, you need 4. He's like, no way. I need 6 over this tank. I don't know what you're thinking. There's no way it's going to be that. And I'm like,
He thought he would do 3 and 3.
I'm like, I'm telling you,
line.
you're going to be fine with 4. No, it's impossible. There's no way. We're still going to have shadowing. There's going to be a problem. And I just basically shut up and said, okay, fine. I contacted Paul. I said, send Ryan 6 lights.
And I go 6?
Right.
Questionally. You know?
Right. And so he sent him 6 lights. And then that morning when he was setting it up a few days ago, maybe on Tuesday, I think, I get a text from Ryan, and he's like,
I only need 4.
Yeah, I only needed 4. So we got to figure out something to do with the other 2.
I'm sure he'll find a solution.
So he'll find something. So it is definitely, it does shock people. You know, if you are going to run like, and he's not, like, in all honesty, he's not running a super, super heavy duty SPS reef. Like, we're talking edge to edge, right? If you're running like my big, you know, stags or something like that, you're running edge to edge. Over your tank 2, I would say run 3, right?
Yeah.
But if you're running a mixed reef tank and you don't have a ton of grow out all the way to the top and the sides, then 2 is going to be more than enough. More than enough.
Well, let's talk to someone who has a full SPS tank and lots of fish.
Okay, who would that be?
Matt Dudley.
Okay, Matt Dudley. So let's pull up Matt Dudley. Matt is like the fish guy, but he's got a huge tank. Matt, you out there?
Yeah, I'm here.
How's it going?
So
Good. How's it going there?
You know.
So Matt's got a huge tank there. He's got his, you know, kind of blown out right now. He uses, you know, like more blue settings in his tank than some people do. But Matt, tell us about the size of your tank and whatnot, and then let's get into what you were running.
This is a 40. This is a ATM 540. It's 96 by 36 by 36.
96 by 36.
I went from 8 T5s, 8 Radeon G4s, and 4 48-inch reef rights. And I thought it was going to take a lot more also. My main objective was to get power down, the power bill down. And when I talked to Terrence about it, you know, this killed it.
Yeah, so how many, so all that stuff, how many skies do you have in your tank?
I have 5 over it. And I thought I was going to take at least 6 or 7, and the 5 fit it perfectly.
Right.
I couldn't be more pleased with things. And
because you're running him, he's running them transverse too, because he's got a deeper front to back tank, right? So although it's 96, right, going that way because he's running them transverse.
And what we mean when we're saying that, if you were to have a square tank, he's not running them this way.
Right.
He's running them this way.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And so, I mean, what's your experience, you know, thus far, you know, with the tank? Are you, because I know you're a hard guy to satisfy. Well, you don't skimp on your tank. Anybody that knows you, Ty, and everybody else knows that if you want it, you're going to put it on your aquarium.
And if I can also say too, can you also the messages that you were sending Terrence and I, you know, the first day, right? You know, of how the colors looked and things like that. I think you specifically spoke about your fish.
Yeah, the colors just made, you know, the yellow tangs, the powder blues. I mean, it made everything just pop right out of it. And I couldn't believe that I went from all of those other lights that I had in a combination that covered, you know, like a Sky, and I ended up getting the Sky with so much less. And it you know, just it fit everything that I wanted to do.
Great, good.
Very cool, very cool. Well, we appreciate you coming on to NSI and giving us the feedback, you know, for sure. Let's ping on over to
one thing about that, Terrence, is I felt like a bad NSI because there really wasn't anything, you know, that I was able to put in from a dislike or anything going wrong with things. I was waiting for all of that to come, but none of that ever did come. So my posts were just, you know, hey, here's what's happening, here's what it looks like.
So let's leave on this note. How much are you saving every month because you switched to the Sky?
I'm saving about $85 on the power bill every month.
$1,000 a year. All right, let's kick on over to Dwayne real quick. We've had Dwayne on the program for before. He's got a beautiful SPS tank. So if anybody thinks that somebody's going to be picky about what lights they put over their tank, it's certainly going to be Dwayne because he also breaks corals off and sells them. He's got another little frag farm thing that he does. So you know, we're going to try to hit everybody here on the talk today. So Dwayne, how are things going now? It's been a while since we had you on the show. Give us some feedback.
Oh, it's going great. There's always the question about shimmer. 2 hours ago at 2 o'clock, I actually stormed my sand bed so Paul wouldn't tease me about my dinoflagellates that are growing on the sand bed.
Oh, I totally would have. Again, look at all that light getting down there.
I commented to my wife how it would almost be comical to do the live stream with my tank all cloudy so that people could see the shimmer down into the sand with the cloud storm that there was. But things are going great. I tend to abuse the system with a lot of coral fragging and the 100 pounds of dead live rock I added to the tank that caused the dino bloom.
Right.
Other than that, the corals just did not skip a beat other than the abuse I put them through. Great growth on this end down.
So you have a 220, right? Or 210?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
210.
Yeah, you have a 210, so it's 6 feet by, what is that, 30 by 24 or something like that, or 24 by 30, I can't even remember.
24 by 30.
Yeah, right. And so you have how many SKY over that? Three?
Got three.
Three?
He's
Okay.
got three.
So again, there is incredible coverage.
Sorry, I can't help you with that on your Mac.
I don't know what that was.
Oh, we have no idea what that was.
we had our iMac interloper there from somebody. Maybe it was Dwayne over there on his. But anyway, the tank is looking great, and you know people are asking, how long has it been since you've had them over the tank?
Since February 1st.
All right. Well, you know, and Dwayne, I'm glad you also brought up the shimmer, right? Because a lot of people have been saying, oh, it's just too flat a light. It's just too flat a light. And it doesn't necessarily show up well on these, like on when you're doing the live streams and things like that. But it's a light shimmer, right? And in my opinion, it's just the right amount.
A lot of us here think it's enough. Vincent's shaking his head because he's a Kessel guy that, you know, he doesn't have a problem with epilepsy like I do. And you know, he likes that radical shimmer, which is fine. Some people love it. You know, you know, some people love the BMW i3. You know,
some do.
I don't know. Maybe it's one and the same with Vincent, but but it really is. If you are a Kessel kind of person that likes that swimming pool shimmer, you're not going to get that from the SKY. So I don't want to give that to anybody, but if you want to do what I'm now calling the reverse, what is it? The reverse hybrid.
Yeah.
Maybe trying out one of those 160s or 80s from Kessel for every two of the SKY. You might, you don't need them for the power, but you get back some of that.
And you wouldn't have to run it at very high intensity,
exactly.
And you would just run them a little bit of white to give that sparkle. But I mean, to say the SKY has no shimmer and it's a flat look,
it's a little bit disingenuous because it's not the same as T5. It's slightly more. But it's not metal halide shimmer for sure, and it's not Kessel shimmer.
No, it's not. And there are clear lenses in there, right, which help bring that shimmer on, which we talk about in the video. We talk about it on the web pages, and we've talked about it on the live streams. Not every a news article will cover it, but most of them will touch light on that. So.
Okay, so rather than me picking people for right now, if any of the people who haven't spoke up want to have something, even on their own freestyle, they want to say.
It's you raise your hand on the Zoom. Okay?
Raise your hand on the Zoom or what have you, and let us know. In the meantime, let me head over to, let's see, what do you think, Paul? Let's do
Derek wants to
Let's do Jeff. Let's do Jeff Stevenson.
Santa Claus?
Young Santa Claus.
Young Santa? Young Santa, is that you?
It's the gray Santa, not the silver Santa.
Okay.
So what are you thinking here, buddy, on the SKY? What do you think? You're one of these guys that's a super critical guy out there, Mr. Crazy for ACANs. He tries to run under the radar, but now you're on the spot. What do you think?
So let me give you a little background first. I started out with a single unit over this 4-foot tank, a single SKY over it. Just a week ago, I got a second one. So now this side is running a SKY that's on Bluetooth control, and this one is running on Apex control. So I have one of each running on my tank. To my eye, when I look at it, there's a little bit of a color differentiation, even though I'm running the same profile on my Apex as I am with the Bluetooth setup. But on this camera, you can't see it. But you can see the shimmer that you guys were just talking about.
I can see it, yeah.
And I went from, I originally had 2 Radeon Gen 4s on this tank with 4 4-foot T5s on it, and I'm down to 2 lights. And the only reason I put the second light on there is because this tank has a center brace, and there was a shadow right here in the center where my coralline died off, and it was driving me crazy.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't need another light. I didn't need it for the output. The tank was covered great. Corals were doing good. You can see my GSP was actually climbing right up the wall to get to the even more light. So I don't regret getting rid of those lights whatsoever.
Great.
All right. Do we have any hand raises? Vincent? No?
Derek, really. Derek.
Derek. Oh, we almost forgot about Mr. Reef Automation, Derek Picker over there, the guy who got a free light, like everybody says. But no, he is the most generous guy in reef keeping. He donated
he's
like
giving us some
over
shimmer.
$2,000 to the kids,
I had
and
it.
in return, you're trying to get the shimmer down there. Yeah, there you can see the shimmer. And let me say something about that shimmer, Paul. And I've got video to show this. There is another light out there, okay, that's a more modern light, the latest version of their light. If you don't have the optional diffuser on it, and you get that shot, even if you do have the diffuser to some degree, you will see static TV.
I know, yeah.
And
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Do you remember when we picked the diffuser for the Sky? We all sat around in Kurt's office with them over the tank and basically blind picked, because we had a lot of the different diffusers to choose from. And we, as reef keepers, looked at it and blind picked which one we thought was the best and voted on it.
It was a fun test. So it was the way we picked the diffuser out. We had about, I don't know, 15 or 20 different samples that we were going through, and we just kept, Kurt would switch one out, then he'd switch the next one out, and then we'd all just have to write down, our number, right?
Yep.
And then we tallied them all up, and then it was basically, all right, here's the top three,
Right.
and basically the top three had already been chosen at that point. And then, but each of them have a different effect. And I think that we really nailed it in terms
I
of the
do
ones
too,
that we found.
and especially with the glimmer lines. So let's go back to Derek there. What's going on with Derek? Did you lose
They didn't want to talk to me. It's okay.
No, come on now.
So Derek was also an early NSI guy. Derek is involved in some some of our products quite a bit. He puts quite a bit of automation in his stuff. He has a channel, and now he's out there as even a dealer of the products, huh? So. You would be the ultimate shill at this point. We wouldn't be able to believe you at all, right, Rich? I mean, he can't believe a word the guy says because he sells the products.
Well,
now.
I just put my 43rd module in my tank, so
oh wow,
I must like it a little bit.
This is how these guys actually compare each other, right? This is a thing.
How many modules you got?
Yes.
How many modules you got?
And I just wanted to put another one on.
Show me your system page.
Show me your tree page so I can see what you got going on. So
the tank looks great, Derek.
Looks great.
It looks really good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what was your story in terms of, tell us just about your tank and what lighting you were having, because I know for a fact when I talked to you, you were not really like, dude, my tank runs, I don't need to change anything. So give us a little bit of a background on that.
You got it. So I had two Radeon Gen 4s for the longest time. Oh my goodness. And I also had T5s on this tank, and everything was growing fantastic. And you said to me, I remember the conversation, you said, well, we want you to try out the Skies. And I'm like, I don't really want to. And you then said to me, which is the reason I changed it, is you won't need T5s anymore. And I said, really? It's like, yeah, you won't need T5s. I go, okay. So lo and behold, we got the two Skies in. I kept the T5s on for probably 2 days just because I was concerned, and turned them off. And I haven't seen a difference except for two things I've seen a difference on. One thing, which I'll show you, which I haven't told you yet, my clam. I've never seen my clam look so good.
Oh, it does look
since
really
I put
good.
Nothing like a happy clam.
Oh, yeah.
And I got 3 clams.
Mhm.
And for those that aren't familiar with clams, having one at the sand isn't always the best idea. But it's doing amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they
big.
do have a high requirement. That's one thing that often stumps a lot of newer aquarists is, they want to put their clam down in the sand, like I see a lot of people do, and they don't have the lighting to really support it, and that thing just eventually just melts away.
You need at least 150,
And that was the
200 par down
biggest.
there.
I think my biggest concern with getting rid of the T5s was going to be my par was going to drop,
Yeah.
because I'm getting rid of probably 120, 130 par. Lo and behold, none of that happened.
Awesome. So you're able to get rid of the T5s, or at least turn them off if you didn't want them on all the time, and save a little bit of power.
They're completely off.
Oh, they are?
Completely
Okay.
off all day long. They've never.
Good.
I haven't turned them on since I spoke to you that one day when I put them in.
Good.
All right, well, let's keep doing the rounds here so we don't leave anybody out. How about Ben Nichols up there? So Ben, it looks like you've got yours is set to a little bit of a white setting, and you probably got the intensity down. Give us a little insight onto your Sky story.
Sure. Yeah, I've got it down to 40% and most of the blues out just so it looks good on the camera. What I came from was 3 Hydra 52 HDs. And the problem I always had with those is you'd get the bright spot in the center, you get dim spots, and you'd almost have to map out your whole tank to figure out where exactly to put the corals. You had to fiddle with all of the intensities of the 8 channels to try to figure out what spectrum they liked. Bump the reds a little, bump the greens a little. This is the first light I can put everything even across 100% on all of them, and the corals love it. A few days after putting these up, polyp extension was greater, which I did not expect. 2 weeks after putting them on, 2-part dosage went up 40%.
Whoa.
1 month after putting them on, 2-part dosage went up 100%.
Wow.
Nice.
And just looking at the tank, the fish, one thing you notice with them, when they come close to the front with typical lights, they get dark on the front. Like particularly when you're trying to get a photo, you can't get colors. The skies, they're evenly lit on the side that's facing.
Excellent.
Which is great.
So question for you.
Can I back on the wall.
Yeah, I see the glimmer too. Question I have for you is, since you did have a lot of experience in, tweaking and adjusting, right, maybe to your, not to your liking, all of the levels to try to get things right on your other light, there has been some comment like, oh, gee, there's not enough control. There's only 4 channels of control on the Sky. Did you miss something? Did it make it easier? Did you wish you could have more control? What do you think?
Don't need more control. I mean, those 4 channels, you can get what you need. I run them all at the 100% the coral growth mode normally. There's an AB plus mode, which takes the tank nice and blue if you like that. I've got a couple of presets set on here. This is what I call my photo mode, which makes it look good for the camera. And I've got a full on if I want to show people full on. I've got a blue mode, which shuts the whites and greens all the way off, so you can show off the fluorescent of the corals. Really simple to set them all up, and you get the amount of control you need without having 8 different channels that you have to fiddle and turn most of them off and waste the LEDs.
Yeah.
Here, I got all the LEDs on.
Very cool, very cool. Well, thank you so much for being in NSI. Let's kick it over to Jay over there, Jason Bretsky. And Jay, why don't you, you've heard a lot of stuff here, so obviously we're always a little bit short on time here and there. We're not going to shut anybody off, but give us something unique about your situation that everybody might want to hear about.
I mean, the biggest thing that I guess for me is that you convinced me to go away from the blue, to go to more of the natural light. So it's because I had, most other people had the same thing. I had 3 G4s. I had, a hybrid system with T5s, and everything was all geared toward AB plus. But then once the Sky situation, I put them up there, and I'm following the scheme that you put out there, and it's way less blue. And as a Navy diver, this is what it looks. This is what it truly looks like when you're diving. It's not the blue haze that everybody usually sees, because they want to see the fluorescence. But with the way it's set up now, it's like this is what it looks like when I actually go in the water. So yeah. That's one of the biggest things I like about it personally.
So it's a good point that Jay makes. Another thing too, again, because we're all reef keepers here, trying to find the right middle ground for everybody, where the most amount of people would be happy with all channels at 100%. So curating the number of LEDs and the way that the ratios are set up on the light, so you can get all the power that you want out of it and still not have to bring down a lot of channels to get them where you want. And what's the size of your tank again, Jay?
I have a reefer 525, so it's about 140 gallons if you count everything.
And you thought you were going to need 3 over it too, right?
Oh yeah, you and I debated that for we went back and forth for a couple of weeks, and I finally agreed.
Yeah, I mean, here's how it works, right? Great, yeah, absolutely. It's amazing.
Oh, it looks great.
Oh yeah, he's got a great tank. But it's like this. It's like you could overkill the tank, and I don't mean by kill. It's just like it's excessive, and you don't necessarily need it, especially at this stage for a lot of people. So if you can get the coverage because of the way that the SKY's architecture and lensing and all of that works, why get 3 and have to turn them all the way down?
I agree. I mean, mine aren't even turned all the way up.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the tank looks great. You've been showing some great pictures of the tank, and you've been giving some good feedback.
All right, so we've got another person out here. Jay, thank you so much again for being in NSI. We've got Andrew Newton here. Andrew Newton, what do you got to say, man?
This is one of our round tours who has the Bluetooth only experience.
Got it. Excellent. So what's going on, Andrew?
Oh, not much. So far, I'm really loving the lights. I'm noticing a lot more pulp extension on everything. Everything is a lot more open than it was before. I went for running 8 bulb by 80 T5 with 4 reef brights to just these 3 lights.
The 3 lights.
And yeah, so it's making a huge difference already in just how hot the tank is getting. It's been running about 2 degrees cooler.
And I can tell right now, just by looking at it, the evenness of light on the tank is pretty amazing.
Can we get Can you get a little closer with the looks the great looking tank, Andrew?
Yeah, really good.
I like the scape, how it comes so far forward like that. That's really
Very cool. So
but
any unique thing you've got to say about the SKY, or surprise, or experience, or setup experience, or anything you'd like to share with all the people out there on the live stream and even your fellow NSI members?
Setup was super easy. I honestly, I borrowed a friend's par meter. I'm getting better par and spread out of this than I was out of my T5 picture.
Wow. That's a big statement.
Yeah,
sure.
Thank you.
Huge statement. Excellent.
There
We
were
got
spots in the back and the front of the tank that I was getting just absolute 100 par less than I am now.
That's amazing.
Okay.
That's really cool. And shimmer's enough for you? It's probably more shimmer than your T5s, right?
Oh yeah. And I didn't even bother putting my reef brights back on or anything, so I've just been running just these 3.
Great.
Very
Great.
cool.
We're
Well,
glad you're a part of this, and we appreciate all the feedback.
Next up is the man who's underwater, Don Martin. Don Martin with his cool parrotfish background there. Don't think that's in your tank, is it, Don?
No, not unfortunately, no.
The eagle ray's going by. So Don, what's your experience? Give something, some insight, maybe something you haven't heard, or some surprise, or something about the SKY.
So for me, again, not to reiterate, but the lack of need of supplementation, that was the big thing for me. I'm a metal halide bigot. I have been a fanboy for a very long time. And I just set up a new tank. It's 10 feet by 30 inches front to back and 36 inches tall.
Wow.
And everything out there, just nothing had the punch to get down that 3 feet deep. And I came in and I looked at the SKY and I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. Because I love like the Phillips Coral Carrot. I thought that was a great light. I thought it was amazing. But one of the problems with it is it doesn't punch deep, about 20 inches, a little bit. It doesn't get a lot deeper than that, and it kind of shuts down.
Right.
Getting about 150 average par, 36 inches deep in the tank.
Wow.
That is awesome.
And I'm only at about 70%.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
I've got 5 SKY on this tank. So 5 SKY, 10 feet. I run them transverse because I've got that 30-inch front to back.
Right.
And they're just, I don't like to use the term blanket, but it really is that blanket of light. It really does do that. And I confirmed it with par readings, right? There's some out there. If you find my thread, it's all out there. But it's not only does it look blanket and even to the eye, but the par meter backs it up.
Right.
And it's just absolutely stunning in person. I wouldn't run anything else at this point.
Yeah, I kind of laughed. I demoed these at Reefapalooza, right? On Saturday we had a live stream, I think. And I came back and read the comments. It was probably like 1 in the morning, right? And I read the comments from one particular user who has since recanted and said sorry. Thank you for that, whoever the user was. But he said, on the 6-foot tank, man, I saw that thing on a 6-foot tank. There's no way that there's not shadows on the ends of that tank. And we had 3 of them transverse on a 6-foot tank. And I like the next day we took a par meter.
Put it all the way in the corner.
Near the black corner, right, on the end of the tank. And it was running 208 par, right? And I was like, okay, there you go. And that wasn't with all channels at 100% even. So definitely you get the even spread. So when you first fired them all up over that reef, did you get a little tear in your eye? Make me happy, man. A little tear, maybe a little bit of watery in the eye.
A little bit. I was more taken aback that I didn't want to put my metal halides back on the tank right away.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for being a part of it, Don. You've been a great contributor. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. We really appreciate all the help you've given so
And we
far.
got room for time for one more, Terrence.
Yes. So who do we have next up there? I can't read it from
Yeah.
here. Who am I
Carl
missing?
Stevens.
Carl?
Carl Stevens.
Okay.
What?
Says CC?
I can't.
CC
see it.
Stevens.
I can't.
Yeah, it's actually I'm on my wife's junky laptop from like 2005. So
Okay.
Okay.
I got her Zoom. My name is Aaron Stevens, actually.
Oh, Aaron. That's right.
okay.
Aaron. Now
Okay.
I-
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
All good.
No, it's all good. It's my fault because it says CC right on the screen there. So.
I try to
But,
keep you guys all straight. So, so what's your site? Is he in the second phase or the first phase?
I think
he's
you're,
in the
you're second phase. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So what's your
Yeah, I'm
experience? Because it's really new.
I'm coming in as the super noob.
Right.
Okay.
So I've only had my tank. I came from freshwater planted tanks and
Mhm.
kind of got to the top of that and got bored and decided to jump into saltwater. And I started this tank. It's just a Reefer 250, 36-inch wide. But I started with the Kessel AP9X. I chose that one because, you know, all the research I did, the Kessel Logic, it's supposed to be dummy proof and blah, blah, blah. So that's what I had on here. And then I applied to you guys for this. And, you know, and I just put it on Memorial Day. So just not even a week ago.
A few days ago, yeah.
And, yeah. And, you know, when I first put it on, I was like, wow, this is, it's a whole lot different, man. Like, honestly, like, I apologize for all the glare and crap.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Don't worry about it.
But I literally have my freshwater tank right behind here, and then this, and there's glare everywhere. But
You're good.
But you
yeah,
kicked
the
it on.
camera's from like by 2005 or something. But, yeah, and so when I first put it on, I was like, wow, this is different, you know. Like, it was just way more spread. The thing I liked about the Kessel, I liked the shimmer and thing like that, but it was real shadowed in my tank, and I felt like I couldn't even put corals in certain areas, and I still haven't put corals in there because it's only been a week. But the first thing I said to my wife, I was like, well, what do you think? You know, what do you think about this one versus the other one? She's like, it looks like you're looking into the ocean, you know. Like,
yeah. I remember I remember you reading
the
that.
other one, it looks, you know, it was cool, but then she's like, that looks like you're basically taking like a video of the ocean, or like you're swimming in the ocean. And I agree with her, man. It's
very cool. So you were able to get up and running fairly quickly with the app, because that was obviously one of the tests
yeah,
we wanted you guys to do.
Well, you guys killed it on that app, man. That app is.
Thank you.
I mean, the Kessel app is, come on, it's not beginner friendly, that's for sure. And this one, man, I literally hooked the thing up, and I didn't set anything up or do anything with the app until the light was on. And then I opened the app, and it said, look for the blue light, blop, boop, 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 boop. Within less than 2 minutes, I'd say, it was on. And then the, you know, where you can choose the different modes you guys got. The Neptune Sky one is the one I like the best.
Yeah, it's white but with a little bit of blue.
Yeah, it's
you know?
curated by these guys here for sure.
Question: you don't have an Apex, right?
No, I do.
You do have an Apex. Okay, we had a couple of people in the NSI that never even had touched Neptune Systems product before, and I couldn't remember if that was if you were one of those.
No, I set it up with all kinds of Neptune gear.
Good.
Well, thank you so much for testing out our stuff and being part of the group and stay integrated into obviously giving us all the feedback you can there. Let's see who we've got left. So there was a question that came in that asked about mounting solutions. Anybody want to give any insight or what they used? Because there's obviously you can use a Radeon mount or you could use your own custom mounts. Anybody want to answer that one for the viewers? Go ahead. Just go ahead and answer.
They're all muted.
I mean, I used the Radeon mounts and then did the hard piping above.
Looks good.
So he used the suspension kind of mount along with the Radion rail on it. Looks very good.
Yeah, so it's easy.
Absolutely.
I'm using the old Hydra rails from way back in the day, so I was able to adjust the spacing, and then the screws fit perfectly, so didn't have to change.
Very cool. So these are M5 screws.
These are just typical metric screws, M5s, and the idea here is that you can use basically any kind of solution, or you have a great out-of-the-box solution with the RMS mounts. You know, and looks like we've had hanging kits on here. We've had people using the RMS mounts, and then people doing their own DIY solutions. There's already the template's not out yet, but there's a template that you'll be able to download, and if you do want to make your own mount solution, you absolutely will be able to do that.
So, really appreciate all you guys coming on here. Boy, look at Rich's tank, man. It's just like...
It looks great,
It's just
dude.
glowing, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to call out one person, but definitely Rich's tank. I don't know if he's got his camera. He's got some special camera. He's got the white teeth going on there.
He's got white teeth, man.
Yeah,
Those were some white, pearly whites on there.
And his hair's actually combed today.
Yeah.
So that's good.
He wanted to be presentable.
I'm using my iPhone to as my camera. Hooked up to my laptop. And I've been cycling through the different modes that I have set up for the skies, and they all look pretty good with this.
Good.
Even the disco version looks great.
Look at Dwayne. Dwayne's over there.
Oh, no problem.
Dwayne's got he's in on two different cameras here. So he's in on his
Yeah.
iPhone and on the computer camera. So he's trying to cheat by getting another.
Oh
another
man,
login
that's good.
there.
That's good. But
So
look how
he's
good that
competing,
looks. Look how, it looks
I
so
have to
good.
give it to him. I like a guy competing.
Yeah.
Every time. I'm
Scrappy.
all about the competition.
Anyhow, so anything else we want to ask these guys?
I don't think so. I think
All
I
right.
really appreciate you guys coming on.
Yeah.
And did you guys like the format? Would you like to do this again? Maybe even on another product or another type of thing? I can't get to you all the time, obviously, but I think it's kind of fun. If any of you guys want to ask any of the others a question, you could do that too. If any of you guys want to just chime anything in, we can take a couple minutes to do that. Otherwise, we'll shut her down.
So, some questions I've seen in the stream as well. Do we have a release date yet? Soon.
Yes, it's very soon. We basically
it is as you guys can see. As you can see, this is all coming together, and this is a product that we've been working on for such a long time. And it was great to hear, from Rich, plugging it in, just I think maybe even 2020, right? And then this is a product we've been working on, and it's great just to see the fruits of our labor.
And Ty, one of the latest guys to come in. I'm telling you, that guy, when he was at Reefapalooza, he couldn't stop coming by and look at that tank. And he was so conflicted, Ty was, because he's like, damn, I just bought 10 G5 XR15s and I put them all in and
Did those find a home already?
He already sold them. I can guarantee
he already found a home for them.
He didn't lose a dime. In fact, he made money. He made money.
I'm sure he did.
Yeah, absolutely.
I sold all my stuff.
That's great, dude.
Well, definitely, guys, thank you so much for joining us here. And we'll have another Let's Talk Reef soon. Somebody's got their mic on still. I don't know who it is, but we're getting feedback. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us here. We'll be back with another Let's Talk Reef in 2 weeks, hopefully. Hopefully, it'll be on a Tuesday again.
A Tuesday.
It won't be some other reason why we can come in late. Maybe it will be because we'll be
Friday.
back
I like Friday though. Friday felt like it was a very
loose.
It was very loose,
okay.
Right? You don't have you have the
Vincent's
freedom.
like, no,
you
please
have the
don't do this to
freedom
me
of the
again.
weekend in front of you.
Well, now we're going to go out and get a bite to eat,
Yep.
Paul and I, and then and that's going to be the start of the weekend. So thank you again, guys, very much for joining us, and for all of you out there in Fishland, thank you for joining us for Let's Talk Reef, and we'll have another show soon.
Thanks, guys.
Until then, catch you later.
Take care.